here is the new cowl. It is a BMW part. We are going to be replacing this on my E36 M3. Sun faded from previous. It's been out in the sun for 30 years, so let's freshen it up. So to take this old cowl off, so all you need 13mm and a flathead screwdriver. There's little caps over the wiper arms right here and right here. And then there's also little circular trim pieces that just with a flathead, a pretty thin flathead, you just unscrew them. It's just plastic. And then after that, we'll get the wiper blades off, pop the cowl off, put the new cowl on, and put it back together. All right guys, so these little plastic tabs, just insert the flathead and turn it out, and there we have it, already off. There's 6 of them. Let's do the rest.
Next, we're gonna pop the caps off of this wiper blade, and then it'll expose that nut that we're gonna have to take off. So we'll do that for both here. All right, guys, so this might be a little tough. There's a tool you can get called a puller, but I'm just gonna try to just slowly wedge it off, and should be fine. Just gonna take some patience.
It indeed took much longer than expected and required much more than just patience. So it is the next day. Streetcar is already back to Michigan, but we stopped out at an Advanced Auto Parts and we got this gear puller. A lot of guys have been using the 3-arm jaw puller that are like 2-ton, 3-ton. It's kind of excessive for this job. I rented out this 2, 3, 5-ton jaw puller from AutoZone, except the actual jaw pieces are too thick to get underneath the E36 wiper blade arms, so this won't be helpful. Let's see if we can find something smaller that actually works. Using the engine bay of the E36 as the backdrop, here's the tool. 2 arms on either side. 1 arm here, 1 arm there. And this big wedge shaped thing has its own distinct bolt that it threads onto. And when you turn it righty-tighty, those wings get pressed out and the pieces on the bottom cinch underneath the wiper arm. And then once you're in that position, then you thread through the center of the larger bolt and press up on the post. Let's show it in action now. Let's go ahead and get this situated. So I've tucked the arms underneath the wiper arm mounting point, and I am tightening down the main housing, kind of that cylinder piece that I showed, so that the prongs go underneath. We're gonna push up with our main bolt. We're gonna keep turning here. It applies really nice, even pressure. Limiting factor here might be the force that we can apply. Let me see if I can get some pliers on that. Okay. And it's off. There we go. I could finally pick back up on doing the E36 cowl job after we got the wiper arms off. It took a long time. The Lyle wiper arm removal tool, I'll put the link in the description below, helped so much, guys. If you're having trouble with it, I know this is not a rush job, so try with your traditional techniques, but if you are having any issues, consider using it because it came off like butter. Both sides, no issues at all, first try. Would highly recommend. The hardest part about removing the cowl is right here in these corners, kind of between the edge of the hood, edge of the quarter panel, and then there's a little lip on this wing of the cowl that clips kind of underneath the windshield, and then also should clip kind of inside this trim piece on the window's edge. So it is kind of difficult to get out. I found that arching the cowl up and then working it up and out actually is the best way to do it. You can see there's this little hook that kind of hooks around the hinge of the hood, and then this little lip goes underneath the windshield. Let's see if we can get it on the other side. Obviously now that one side is off, it'll be easier to take off the second side. Not too bad for a cowl that has been covering this pan for 30 years. Stuff got underneath it. Let me vacuum that out and we'll get the new cowl on. These little white clips right here, there's 4 of them. So just these little plastic tips that slide into those 4 tracks over there. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4. One thing to note is over on this side, I can do a close up, but these little holes, there's 4 of them across the top. That's what align with those. I have here replacement little rubber pocket. So this little rubber pocket goes into that hole before you clip in the cowl. Part number is 511-3812-4389. I'll also throw up the part number for these little white ones because I have that on hand. Here's the replacement clips. I have 4 of them because this was a job initially started by the previous owner. He bought all the parts, but I think what probably happened is he couldn't get those wiper arms off, so he said screw it, included it in the sale to me. Shout out to the Lyle wiper arm puller, but this part number for the white clips is 517-181-08613. I'll put these 2 part numbers as well as this cowl in the description below if you guys want access to these parts for your E36. Here's the part number on the cowl piece, 517-119-77677. This one obviously is OEM, straight from BMW Group. Let's get it in. So we're looking at this little grommet right here and then inserting this little black rubber tip. So it just pops in like that. And then once the clip goes in, the clip will push out into that rubber basket that's beyond the metal plate here, and we'll lock it in a long time. So if you've been following along with me on this cowl job, it's harder than you'd think. But use your instinct, figure out how to actually get those pieces in, especially the corners, because there's a little hook. Biggest tips are getting the hook of the actual cowl around the hinge pieces of the hood, and then using a plastic trim pry bar to get that tab underneath the windshield proper. Through the center, those 4 white tabs, I did use those little black holders, and I actually put them over the white trim pieces and then push them into the holes. And then overall the alignment of the windshield wiper blades on the splines to make sure that they're obviously out of the way when you're driving and not too low where they're hitting stuff such as the cowl itself or the hood when you're opening and closing. Thanks for following along to this kind of long and tedious cowl replacement on this 30-year-old E36. I couldn't have done it without the Lyle wiper arm puller tool. That thing saved my butt getting the wiper arms off this 30-year-old car. We do have other stuff on the channel for this E36, including a rear suspension refresh, discussion of which rear shock mounts you should be running, an oil change how-to, including an oil change light reset for this OBD1. This is the 95 M3. More content to come for this E36, guys, so consider liking and subscribing to the channel for more. Remember, shop don't stop.